what can I offer? I shouldn't have to offer anything. They're not doing me a favor by paying for things that they have already approved for the government to do. That's part of their basic function of government. That's not doing me a favor. That's doing what the American people sent them here to do, carrying out their responsibilities.
Folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you. The president yesterday during an interview. Joining us now is former Congressman Pete Hoekstra from Michigan and former chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Hey, Congressman, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. Thank you, Steve.
Good to talk to you again. Well, first of all, weigh in on the president's attitude. And, it continues. He trashed them again today. No talks. He picked up the phone yesterday to tell Boehner, no talks. Today, now the Republicans are saying they might send individual bills funding Parks Department, different aspects of the government. The White House says it's not good enough. What's going on here?
Well, I think, that's what you're seeing in the out in front. The president's not negotiating. The scary thing is it's also the lack of what you're seeing in the background. I mean, I went through this in 1995 when I was in Congress, and we had lots of confrontations too when George Bush was president. But every time you kind of reached one of these points, you always knew what the moving pieces were in the background. You knew that there were negotiations going on between the House, the Senate, the Republicans, the Democrats, and the White House, and you all knew what kind of the framework around what a deal was going to look like, and everybody wanted to get to a deal, and sometimes it was really, really hard. But you had people working it, and what you're seeing now is you're just seeing Harry Reid and the president saying, "Hey, nope, we want it all." I don't know how this is going to play it out. I hope the Republicans don't cave and walk away from this fight. There'll be a lot of folks around America who are going to be disappointed by it.
And Congressman, one of the really heartwarming things that took place today took place at the World War II Memorial, of course, which was closed along with all the other memorials and sightseeing places in Washington, D.C., also here in New York and all over the country, Statue of Liberty, et cetera. But there was it was supposed to be a final gathering of heroes. Yep. And World War II vets came from all over the country, about 200 of them from actually Mississippi and Iowa. So they just went you were there.
I was there.
They went past the barricades, right?
Well, they actually, I was just on Omaha Beach last week. I was on vacation, and we went to Normandy, Omaha Beach, Utah Beach, the American Cemetery at Normandy. And as I was walking to work this morning, my wife called, and she said, you got these honor flights coming into Washington today, and they've closed the World War II Memorial. And I said, this is absolutely nuts. Actually, I was a little bit more forceful than that.
I bet, yeah.
But you probably can't put that on the air. And I got into the office. I called a couple of my buddies on Capitol Hill, and I said, this is outrageous. And they said, hey, Pete, we're working it. And so I went down there at 11:15. The buses rolled in. The vets lined up, and the Park Service must have worked overnight to get these barricades up. They ring the barricades. These barricades around the World War II Memorial, so you can't get in. It's an open air memorial, right? This is crazy. But hey, there were congressmen there. There was a Democrat senator there. And what they very respectfully did is they cut the yellow crime tape, that was around the memorial. They moved some of the barricades, and hallelujah, these World War II vets were able to go down into the memorial and see the structure that was that was put in place to commemorate their heroic acts. I mean, it would have been tragic, embarrassing, and an outright shame to the United States government if these guys had traveled here and were not allowed to go in. So it was a heart-lifting moment. As the wheelchairs are going down, the other tourists that were there who still couldn't go down in there, they started applauding. It was
that's great. No, that's a bright spot in today's mess, certainly, without a doubt. And I'm so glad you were there and able to share it with us. Briefly, let me, I keep hearing about how the Republicans were punished in 1995. First of all, the media doesn't tell you the government had been shut down 17 times before today. It was overwhelmingly when there was a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, sometimes even with Jimmy Carter as president and Byrd and O'Neill in charge of the chambers. But let's go to 95 for a second. I mean, yes, Bill Clinton won the election, but but you guys picked up seats in a couple seats in the Senate. You lost a couple in the House. So how were the Republicans punished after 95?
I'll tell you, I don't remember it as being punished. I remember the 1990s. A couple of things. Number one, we stayed in the majority. I was part of the majority party from 1995 until until 2002, 2004, until 2004.
Right.
So those were pretty good years. The second thing I remember is we fought for principle. We reached agreements, but we reformed welfare. We cut taxes. We restrained spending. We did the right thing. And you know what, Steve? The end result, it was good for America.
Yep.
There was prosperity. There was economic growth. And again, this gets to Bill Clinton knew how to cut a deal. Newt Gingrich knew how to cut a deal. They knew how to govern. They also knew how to be partisan politicians, which they showed. Gingrich got reelected as Speaker. Clinton got reelected as president. They both knew how to, they knew how to govern. They knew how to be politicians and what hat to wear when.
And this guy doesn't. But let me tell you what I think, and you tell me what you think. I think he'd be happy if the government was shut down permanently. It would give him more freedom to do more things. I think he views it for himself as a good thing. I don't think he cares.
The president wants to have this fight. He doesn't want to talk about the failures that we're having with a very, very weak economy. He doesn't want to be focused on the failures that are happening as Obamacare rolls out. He doesn't want to be talking about his failures on foreign policy. His poll numbers have been going down for the last few months because of the ineffectiveness of this administration. He believes that this is going to be able to enhance his numbers, and perhaps heaven forbid that Nancy Pelosi becomes Speaker again in 2016.
Well, you said 14. You said it right. Heaven forbid.
Yeah, but that's what he's working towards.
I know.
He wants to win the House back.
And
the only way this guy can govern is if he controls all branches. Yeah, but that's what he's working towards.
I know.
He wants to win the House back.
And
the only way this guy can govern is if he controls all branches.
Pleasure, sir. Look forward to the next time.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Congressman, former Congressman, of course, Pete Hoekstra, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, Steve Emerson will join us, and he has some interesting things to talk about with us, and we'll do that on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio. Wait till you hear who's serving in the Obama Homeland Security Department.